Hi everyone, my name is Stewart and I'm an assistant editor at AM, and I'm really excited to be able to tell you more about our expansion of the East India Company Records collection with our seventh module in the series, which is due to be published in March this year. So following the East India Company's inception in 1600 to the last days of British colonial rule in India in 1947, the East India Company resource includes documentation charting the company's rise from a trading corporation to one of the world's most powerful economic and political entities. The company became a major territorial power in India in the second half of the 18th century, and the political implications meant the British government in 1784 introduced standing commissioners in London to exercise supervision over the company's Indian policies, and this was known as the Board of Commissioners or Board of Control. Originally consisting of 6 commissioners, including Secretary of State, Chancellor of the Exchequer, plus 4 other Privy Councillors, the Board of Control supervised the official correspondence of the company with its Indian presidencies and in all matters of administration, approving the company's dispatches to India with power to alter them as it saw fit. From 1793, it had a permanent president, and over the years, changes were made to its constitution and its powers over the company were increased. After the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and the Government of India Act 1858, the British government nationalised the company, taking over its Indian possessions and its executive powers before its eventual dissolution in 1874. So the East India Company resource currently totals around 4 million images, with approximately 571,000 images included in Module 7 alone, all of which is fully searchable within our site with our handwritten text recognition technology, or HTR for short. This module is the 7th of 10 due to be published and continues on from Module 6 with the publication of the India Office Record F4 series of documents, or IOR F4 for short, and Board's collections, a substantial part of the East India Company resource with great academic interest. So many documents in this module cover a date range of 1828 to around 1842 and are collections of volumes of correspondence, minutes, reports, and enclosures of official letters to the East India Company and the Board of Commissioners in London. The range of themes included provides some excellent avenues for research, such as the company's trade activity, political conflict. The East India Company often clashed with Indian rulers, such as the Mughals, Marathas, and Mysore, as it expanded its control. Cultural and religious influence. So by the early 19th century, British Christian missionaries began advocating for the spread of Christianity in India. Education and language. Education and language became tools for governance and cultural change at this time. Imperial government, appointments and patronage. The security of British India. The British Indian Army. By this time, the British Indian Army was one of the largest in the world. Legal proceedings and jurisdiction, and rebellions such as the Indian Rebellion of 1857. This module also marks the move from our old white label site into our newer Cortex site platform, along with all previous modules. This allows easier navigation when finding and viewing documents, as well as increased accessibility benefits for the resource, all of which is fully searchable with HTR. The British Library have also provided extensive document content notes at volume level, allowing users to browse them easily by section or volume within. We have also expanded on the excellent range of essays on offer. So firstly, an essay on the educational policies of the East India Company by Parimala Rao, who is an author and expert on educational developments in India during British colonial rule. And secondly, an essay on law, power and criminality, Discovering Thuggee, by Mark Brown, Director of the Centre for Criminological Research at the University of Sheffield School of Law. and co-written with Ademea Kenny at Birkbeck, University of London. The collection also features an extensive chronology, and we have expanded on this for Module 7, along with the expansion of the Government Office Holders page, including entries for the position of President of the Board of Control. And lastly, we have introduced an updated split screen viewer. So this tool allows users to view documents side by side and utilize the number of indexes in the resource, which many of the documents included in the module will relate to. And then you can then navigate through two different documents simultaneously, much like what a student or academic would do when viewing the documents at the archive itself. And finally, I want to draw some attention to the fantastic highlights within the collection. This module is set during a period when British colonial rule significantly influenced Indian culture, but in which we see the East India Company's commercial control of India start to diminish. Some module highlights include documentation on sati regulation, which can be considered one of the first major social reforms enacted by the British in India, making the religious practice of sati illegal, which led to legislation against other Hindu practices too. The assumption of administration in Mysore, known as the Mysore Commission. This was a change in administration as British commissioners took over from the disposition ruler of the Kingdom of Mysore. The Government of India Act 1833, or St. Helena Act 1833, where the Board of Control removed the East India Company's remaining trade monopolies, making it mostly an administrative body, and increased the board's authority on it too. And also the control of the island of St. Helena was transferred from the company over to the British Crown. Bentinck's resolution of 1835, this reallocated funds from the East India Company to spend on the education of English literature, language and sciences in India. The establishment of northwestern provinces in 1836, the Thuggee suppression of the same year, which exhibited the expansion of British authority and suppression of the Thuggees, which was often used as propaganda to legitimize British governance and the justification for colonialism as well. And also the First Opium War and the Anglo-Afghan War of 1839 to 1842, to name a few. So that concludes the introduction to Module 7. Thank you for your time.